fight. We don't have to kill. Everybody in the whole wide world really just needs to chill. No, we don't have to fuss, no, we don't have to fight.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Just Chill with Oliver George, episode 11. I just wanted to say, first of all, we are now on many audio-only streaming platforms. So Podbean is who we went with, which is also, we should be showing up on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So if you are someone who prefers to just listen to a podcast, there you go. And if you're someone who's listening to the audio only and you don't know that we have a video version, then come check us out on YouTube.
Woo!
Yeah, and while you're there, please subscribe to YouTube, or our channel on YouTube, rather. It really does mean a lot, and anyone who already has, thank you so much. And finally, before I introduce our guest, if anyone wants to reach out, say anything about the show, comments, whatever, fuck you letters, I don't care at this point. I just want someone to message us. justchillpodcasting@gmail.com. Thank you. And time to introduce the man of the hour, Jesse Reynolds.
Woo! Thanks for having me. Just chill with Oliver George. There's nothing chill about this studio, though, let me tell you. This is awesome.
It's a little bit hyper on the eyes, for sure.
I love it.
Yeah, I got the special lighting down here that's supposed to, wake you up and shit, too. And
It does. Well, this coffee's helping, too. Good
coffee helps as well, yeah.
I can't get over this. I'm not even a nerdy person, and I love this. There's, like, superhero stuff barfed all over the wall. Super Mario.
I try to throw in, I got some Simpsons. I guess that's kind of nerdy, too, but...
I love The Simpsons.
Not strictly. And Bob Marley, most people, it kind of stands out. I'm big into music, too, so...
Ninja Turtles. Maybe I am nerdier than I thought.
It's more of a pop culture room with a nerdy edge, I would say.
This is not a studio for a guest that has ADD. I don't have ADD, but I'm just saying if I did.
Too much to look at. Yeah. You didn't read comics growing up at all, or?
No.
Now it's kind of hard to avoid, though, with all the movies coming out every second week.
Well, Deadpool made them cool. I love Deadpool.
Deadpool is kind of its own unique one, too. It had a really
It was inappropriate. That's why I liked it.
Yeah, and it was very comedy-driven as opposed to the usual superhero kind of just save the day story or whatever,
That's it.
So you are like someone that I consider to be like me in the way that you're like a dabbler. You're a creative dabbler. You're all over the place.
Dabbling this, dabbling that.
Yeah, you seem to be, and I say that as a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone can do that. So there's certain people like, Jimi Hendrix, where it's like, I play guitar, that's my thing. Well, and singing, but so focused on that one, specific craft or whatever. But I'm like you. I want to do stand-up one week. I want to dabble in acting. I want to do music. Do you do music or no?
No, that's my one thing. I can lip sync like anybody.
But you do modeling.
Yeah, well.
Radio DJ, so much stuff.
Yeah. I'm thank you for saying that, but I actually consider myself more of an actor playing all these different roles because that's my background, right? I grew up in the theater. That's what I took in post-secondary, and so even when I got into radio, I always saw myself as like a faker. Like I'm not really a radio guy. I'm just an actor playing a radio guy, or
that's clever though.
Playing a stand-up comedian, and it's so hokey pokey to say that, but that's really the truth. So
I think that helps though to kind of separate yourself from the situation a bit and be like, oh, it's not me. It's just this person I'm playing. That's kind of genius in a way, actually.
Well, there's a lot of imposter syndrome. Gilbert Gottfried told me that. Like you always feel like you're faking. So I feel like if you can just pretend you're playing a role, then you don't feel like such a faker.
Yeah, I wonder when that ends. At what point in a successful career, you think?
That's what he said. He said it never. He still goes to the Academy Awards and gets worried he's going to get tapped on the shoulder. You got to go, bud. Yeah. So I think it's just a creative thing. We're all insecure.
That's crazy. Oh, I mean, there's some people who are narcissistic and probably do think the world of themselves. But Gilbert Gottfried, damn, that's a pretty big name.
I know. You like how I just slid that in there. Yeah.
Hey, man, I got no hate for name dropping. I'm sure you must have opened for him or something.
No. He was. It was when I was in radio. He came by the station for an interview, so I got to interview
man, that's
him.
Awesome.
Yeah,
the parrot from Aladdin.
Yeah, I know.
Amongst other things.
And he dated Joan Rivers, who's my all-time favorite.
I did not know that.
And he said that when they hooked up, she opened her legs and a fleet of bats flew out.
A joke she would have laughed at.
She would have.
Yo, Joan Rivers is fucking hilarious.
Oh,
man.
She's the best.
She was such a pioneer of female comedy and just comedy in general, too. Just pushing limits and being crass.
I don't know how she would manage in this climate right now, though. Like, the whole every offended culture and, oh, my God. We need Joan Rivers back.
I was going to say, I think she could get away with it because that's who she's always been.
Yeah, maybe.
And she's so lovable at the same time that she's kind of vicious, It's like she's your, sassy grandma or something.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, Joan Rivers, she had that show where they would make fun of people's terrible fashion choices.
Fashion Police.
There you go. I watched that a few times and laughed my ass off. Oh, my God.
I know. It was all about her because remember they tried to, sub in Kathy Griffin after she died, and it was just
that I didn't know.
Didn't work. And I like Kathy Griffin, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah, those are big shoes to fill, right?
Sure.
And Joan Rivers, Nerd Connection, she was the voice of Dot the Robot in Spaceballs.
Was she?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta watch that now.
Well, another reason that I thought it was weird when they started saying they were maybe going to do like a sequel for that movie, because like John Candy's dead. He played like the Chewbacca type character.
I've seen the movie just 100 years ago, so.
Yeah, well, it's like from 80 something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw it as a child too. I don't know that I've revisited it in quite a long time, but Rick Moranis is in that, you know.
Well, he's still alive.
Yeah, but do you know his story? He actually stopped, like he completely dropped out of Hollywood sometime in the mid 90s after Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and all those came out because his wife got cancer and I believe passed away, and he wanted to be there for his kids just as full father mode.
Oh, well, good
Crazy,
for
man.
him.
Yeah,
Good for him.
it probably takes a lot, especially if you're that involved in Hollywood, to just step away like that.
At the height of his career, yeah, right after
Yeah,
Honey,
probably
I
getting
Shrunk.
offered nerdy roles left and right. He was in Ghostbusters too. Yeah,
That's right.
He was
Yeah.
on fire for a while, actually. So I was going to say to everyone, Happy New Year's, but also to you, because you had a very interesting New Year.
I did.
Tell us about that, because I wanted to go. We couldn't get a babysitter, so.
Oh, yeah. I was hosting the show at the Shaw Center for Tom Green and Kenny versus Spenny.
It's like a dream come true.
Huge, yeah. I wasn't that big into the Kenny versus Spenny show when it was on because I was in high school and some of my friends were, but Tom was like a bucket list for sure. I mean, Ottawa native, super famous. We love Tom Green. So it was a great gala at the Shaw Center, and it went well, but, oh, God. Yuck Yucks is going to kill me for going here. I don't care. Whatever. It's a podcast. We show behind the curtain. There was a lot of people unhappy with Kenny versus Spenny. They were offended.
Really?
And I'm like, who is going to come to a comedy show to see Tom Green and Kenny versus Spenny and me and be offended at something?
Who comes to a comedy show at
I
all
know.
and gets offended is like, ugh.
It was crazy. We couldn't understand it. But, I mean, they were really edgy. I mean... Kenny came on stage wearing a Hitler T-shirt, so I mean that's the way it started.
But if you've seen the show,
right? What do you expect?
it's because he's Jewish, so he thinks he can make any jokes like that, and he loves just pushing people's buttons too. You know?
Oh yeah, I thought it was funny, but one of the worst things, one of the jokes that got complaints, which I don't even think was that bad, was they were talking about how. I can't remember the setup. It was a lot of storytelling because they're not stand-ups, right? So they talk about their experiences in the show, and they said that when they were younger, they would used to they drive around the city with a carton of raw eggs and pitch them at gay people.
Oh.
But then they were like, but it's okay. We got Jesse hosting the show. We've grown. We've evolved. And then when I went back on stage right after that joke, I was like, hey, guys, look at my body. Look at yours. Thanks for the protein. You know, and it turned into a big joke. And I'm like, that was pretty innocent. But apparently that was one that people weren't happy with. So I'm like, again,
yeah, that's kind of messed up. But
well, it is. But it's like a joke, you know. If I wasn't offended and I made light of it and I had the last laugh, really, as the gay host,
well, you're in comedy, so you have like a sense of humor about it,
guess.
you know.
But I'm just like, wow, people are really. It's like what we were saying, you know. People are sensitive, and I guess there's just certain topics you can't touch these days.
Yeah, but again, at like a Kenny versus Spenny thing, you'd think that you would have done a little bit of research. I thought most people going would have been like huge fans, so
Me
they
too.
would be expecting that kind of like shenanigans, you know.
I think maybe it was more of a Tom Green crowd, and then the people.
But
that
he
were
was
there.
known for his shock humor.
He used
like,
to throw poo on people
and suck the milk from the
Remember?
cow. And oh yeah,
Oh
wait,
my
when did he
God.
throw poo?
It was one of his shows. It was in one of his movies. I can't remember which movies, but it was an old taping of his show, and he was like throwing poo water. I don't think it was actually poo water.
Oh, he's just trying to freak people out.
yeah,
though.
he's like poo water. I'm like, come on.
Because
Anyway.
actually, Tom Green, I'm pretty confident from what I've seen in interviews and stuff, he always wanted to prank people, but never really like hurt anyone's feelings
just
or
for the
really
show.
do real damage, you know, other than maybe his parents psychologically.
yeah, no kidding. And they were at the show too. I got to meet his parents. That was really fun. I feel bad I went right to the negative, but I feel like that's the gossip people wanted to hear. But overall, it was a really fun night. Blah blah. Food
Hey
was
man,
amazing.
saying that some wet blankets got offended at a comedy show is
What's new, huh?
yeah, exactly.
What's new?
Tom Green, man, I've met him a few times, but never like in that context where he was seeing me as like a colleague or a peer.
Oh, I don't know
of any
about
kind.
that. Thanks for saying that, but no.
Well, you're hosting his show. I'm sure he has a level of respect for you right away. You
yeah,
know?
well, I was impressed he knew exactly who I was.
I smoked a joint with him once though.
Oh yeah.
But that was just from me being like a super fan. It was a couple years before I did comedy, and I just like hung out at his Yuck Yuck show, and just kind of like right after the show was like, "Hey, dude, I got some weed. Do you want to smoke a joint?" And he was like, "If you can go roll it now." And then he brings me on the roof of Yuck Yucks, which I didn't even know.
Oh, I don't even know how to get up there.
It was weird. Yeah, he brought me like through the kitchen, and then we went up. And
Oh, but
and we,
this was back when it was on Albert, probably.
no, this was
It was
the
on
same.
Elgin.
Yeah, it was the same location.
Oh, wow.
Weird, right?
Oh,
And then I met him once with Drew Barrymore in the middle of a snowstorm
get outta
in
here.
Beacon Hill. Yeah, but that was
so
very
cool.
brief at like they were getting something at the drugstore kind of thing, and we just were like, hi, really quickly, you know? We didn't want to bother them. Like,
Oh, you're one of those, eh?
well, it was
I was
literally
pretty
2
cool.
days before Christmas in the middle of a blizzard, and like they looked like they wanted to get home and be warm and comfortable, you know?
Understandable. Oh God, that's gotta be rough if you marry or date like a super famous person like that, because now she's attached to him forever. Like they can't get away. Even at the show, people are like, "Oh, is Drew here?" He's like, "We haven't been married in 20 fucking years."
Yeah, and they were only married for like 6 months too, right? Yeah.
But she's.
I wonder if that's why they broke up, maybe because there was too much of like a fame difference between them.
Clashing of egos.
Yeah, I think it can work if one of them, like, if you're in if a person who's famous is in a relationship with someone who's not famous at all.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're like both famous but different levels of famous, then I think there might be more like bitterness, like, oh, your career's going so well.
Yeah,
And, I don't know.
competitive. I agree. Yeah, if in a partner, I need someone that doesn't want the spotlight at all. Boring, likes to stay home and read.
Well, also because I think the people that are really putting themselves out there as artists and actors, whatever, they need like that anchor, somebody who they can
It's
come
true.
home to. And, you know, if both people are in the industry, then you're just both like probably insanely busy. First of all, just like organizing your schedules to meet up would be like a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit, man. Well, I'm glad that show went well for you. I wish I could have
went
been
really
there.
well. Yeah, I mean, I was no complaints on my end. The feedback about my hosting was fantastic. So.
And there were some other good comics from locally.
Yes, Ashley Krachenko, who I love.
She's so good.
And her little ukulele.
Another another Yuck Yucks employee.
That's right. Yeah, she works at Yuck Yucks. And Don Kelly was there and
He's
Trevor
awesome.
Thompson.
Yeah, Trevor's. That sounded like a wicked lineup. Oh my god.
It was a great show. Just, you know, and again, there was like 500 people there. So yeah, 2 or 3 got offended and wrote mean letters. But then the rest had a great time. So
God, how offended do you have to be to write a letter?
I know.
Jesus.
In 2020.
I can picture these people in my head already, though.
Oh, I know.
Just probably super conservative, probably like, I'm going to say older, probably.
I just wanted to know what they were expecting coming to a New Year's Eve party with Tom Green and Kenny versus Penny. Like, what did you think it was going to be?
Like Tom Green used to spill like milk on people, and like
That's
you
right.
would have to go to his show expecting like something might happen to you.
Yeah.
Let alone like you might get offended. There was one episode back in the day where he like cut a dead raccoon in half with a chainsaw that they had been keeping for like 3 weeks, and apparently the smell was like made you
Could you
want to
imagine?
throw up in your mouth.
Oh, I believe that. I remember I was forced to go rabbit hunting with my dad when I was a kid as part of like his I'm going to make you a man. Didn't work. And the smell of that, the freshly killed rabbit, was like overpowering. So I couldn't imagine sitting for 3 weeks.
Are you a vegetarian?
No.
Oh, no. Okay. I am. I was surprised when you said no, actually. But.
I try to be, like, because I know, you know, everyone's like, meat's bad for you these days.
Oh, yeah. I don't give a shit. If people eat meat, do what you want to do. I just more meant because of your story. It sounded like you were like kind of
That
grossed out by
converted
it.
me.
Yeah.
No, it was I've never eaten rabbit, but yeah, no. And I don't condone hunting either. I don't like hunting.
See, hunting I find is kind of a tricky subject. Even as a vegetarian, I almost lean towards hunting being not so bad.
As a mass production of like what's in the supermarket.
Yeah. So first of all, versus factory farming,
Yeah.
just because those animals are being treated
Oh,
just with
it's-
no respect, and it's just disgusting. It's bad for the environment. So many things. But also, there's a level of like respect I guess I have just for having to hunt and kill your own food and skin your own food and do all the work like someone would have
That's
had to do a
true.
few hundred years ago. Like, and I've also heard things about just population control. Apparently, it's very important that if, say, the deer population, if they just said no one can hunt deer this year, there's going to be way more car accidents. The population
Okay.
boom is going to be insane. So,
All right.
yeah, there's apparently arguments for it, but I'm no expert.
Yeah, well, you just made me sound like an ass. So.
Well, no, dude, I'm with you. Like, I couldn't do it. I could never shoot
I
a
know.
fucking animal.
But you make a really good point, actually, when you look at it that way. Because growing up, I'd always be like, Dad, don't hunt. Like, why? They're already dead in the grocery store. Let's just go get one of the already dead ones. But then, you know, when you put it that way, you're
Well, if a
taking
hunter
away
knows
from-
what they're doing, from what I've heard too, then the animal's going to have a quick death. You know, just
Yeah.
they'll shoot them right through the heart or the brain or something, and it's over. As opposed to factory farming, where I don't know, some of the videos
Ugh.
you see online.
Oh,
are
I
like-
know. I can't watch them.
You see sometimes people working that clearly are like fucking abusing animals to take out their own like stress. You see them kicking the
I know.
animals and shit, and
It's
like
really hard
fuck.
to watch. Oh, I don't do well with that stuff.
Yeah, but I try to be somewhat like neutral on the whole like should you eat meat or not
Mm.
thing, because I'm not a big fan of people that like take such a hard side that they're like, oh well, I can't be friends with you because you eat meat, or like,
Oh, God.
come on,
Yeah.
like,
Write a letter to Kenny and Spenny.
yeah, exactly.
Have
'cause-
you always been a vegetarian?
No, I can't even say the exact amount. I want to say probably like 8 years ago or
Oh, wow.
something. And it started with just dropping like pork was the first thing, because I read a lot about pigs and I realized they were more intelligent than dogs.
Yeah.
And that kind of fucked with me because I have dogs, and I was like, shit, I wouldn't eat my dogs. So that was the initial thing. And then after a couple more years, I stopped eating like, I was never a big steak guy, but like all red meat. I was basically just eating poultry And then I just gave that up too. I still eat fish sometimes.
Well, that's why you're vegetarian, not vegan, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that
well,
the
and eggs.
distinction?
Oh my God,
And
eggs and cheese. I couldn't give that up.
Yeah, no.
And I my views on that is if you're treating those animals right, like and you're extracting the milk or getting the eggs in a way where you're also giving them a good life, I'm sorry, but is that not kind of a sweet deal? Like
Yeah.
if this guy over here wants to chop your fucking head off and eat you, okay, well, if I'm just getting your milk, like your titty survived that encounter and we have milk and I'm going to pet you and
It's going to be great. Yeah.
could be all right. And that's why when you learn about eggs too, I only buy like free run eggs and all that now because those are the ones where the chickens actually get like to do
Live,
some shit,
not
go
just sit in a
outside.
cage.
Well, not even that, too. But if you buy regular eggs, from everything I've read, they shove like 6 or 7 in the same cage, chop their beaks off so they can't peck each other because they get stressed out. And that's and beyond that, even if that doesn't bother you on a moral level, what I try to tell people is like, which eggs do you think are going to be full of good stuff? The egg made by the fucking Guantanamo Bay like chicken,
That's right. With all
or
the stress and
or the chicken who's like, la-di-da, this isn't so bad, and then they just take his eggs or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something to think about there.
There you go. Yes. I
just
try
went
not to
deep.
just jump on board and be like, I'm vegan now because everyone else is,
Yeah.
I just do what's right for me, and I think people should do the same,
Well, and it is healthy. All this like weight loss and fitness and stuff. You generally have a healthier diet if you try to eat more on the vegan or vegetarian side.
Yeah, I noticed that right away. Like as soon as I cut meat in a big way, it was like, oh, well, McDonald's has pretty much nothing on the menu I can eat other than fries and the breakfast sandwich.
Yeah.
And so, you end up just inadvertently making a lot of better health choices, a lot less greasy options. And
Yeah, that's it.
when I started pairing that with intermittent fasting, it was like, boom.
Now that is the ticket. I've done that recently, and it's really helped with like belly fat and stuff. If you're trying to get rid of that,
It's supposed to be good for everything, honestly. Like, I've heard that, well, first of all, one of the reasons I like it is if you fast, then when you do break your fast, you can generally eat like a really big meal, and some things you shouldn't eat because you're in such a like metabolic state that you process that food so much more efficiently because your body's just like,
Let's
ready.
go.
Yeah. So, and I find honestly, it just makes me feel healthier. A lot of people think that you're going to get really, really tired and fainty and stuff.
You don't.
If you're doing it right, you don't. If you're staying hydrated and you're getting electrolytes, like if you put some salt, like some Himalayan salt in your water, surprisingly, people would think that would dehydrate you, but apparently those salts can be very essential when you're fasting.
Okay. Well, you have other stimulants too, like coffee. I don't know if that's cheating, but I
No,
do.
you can have black coffee.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Same here. Or green tea without milk or anything. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I do it right though, because what you're supposed to have 16 hours. Is that the?
I have always heard at 18 hours, your body goes into a state of ketosis, and that's like the state you want to be in.
Okay.
And then I try to rock that for like, 4 to 6 hours. I generally do like 20 to 24 hour fasts.
Whoa, you're hardcore. That's more than intermittent.
Dude, it gets way easier the more you do it too. I'll do like 2 or 3 of those a week. And
Wow.
yeah.
And then the other days, do you eat normally?
Yeah, definitely. And I eat, I don't know. It's weird though, because when you start fasting a lot, I do find that I'll fast and then I'll be waking up the next day like, okay, I don't need to fast. And I won't be strictly fasting. I'll put my shit in my coffee, but I'm just not hungry during the day because I didn't eat anything the day before. You kind of, So I end up just eating like a really big meal right at the end of the day before I go to sleep. And that's it. And it's another misconception. People think that that's bad for you, but if it helps you sleep, they say it's actually good for you. And
it says I recently saw a doctor talk about that. I can't remember what show it was. They were saying eating before bed doesn't matter. Eating breakfast doesn't matter. The whole point of break fast is that you break your fast at some point. But if it's 20 hours after you wake up, that's fine. It's just you have to do it at some point.
Oh, and the whole 3 meals a day thing is just to push like sales in the shopping market and shit. It's just capitalism,
It's too much. To eat 3 meals a day, you'd be so stuffed.
This is not how human beings operated for like, thousands of years because we didn't have that luxury.
You know what? That's what sold me on intermittent fasting, because I was thinking if we were in the wild, or I actually was looking at my dogs. A lot of dogs only eat once a day. And if you were in the wild hunting for your own food, you wouldn't be eating 3 giant meals a day. You're lucky if you get 1 chicken at night to share with your whole family.
And just that, if you did kill something and you did have an opportunity to eat, you would probably eat as much as you could to try to store up for who knows when I'm going to eat again.
That's right.
I've probably talked about this on another episode, but whatever. It's good information.
I think it's interesting.
Yeah, well, like you were just saying, the whole wild man sort of theory, that's what I've told people too. And again, I've done mainly my own research. I'm not an expert, but I've done what works for me, sort of trial and error. And the sort of metaphor that I use was that, like you said, in the wild, you wouldn't have anything. You would then, so take this to another level, after not eating for a long time, you would then see something you could kill and then have to exert a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time before I break my fast, I go to the gym on a fast, work my ass off as if I'm hunting my prey, and then I eat a big meal that's heavy in protein and healthy fats. And
so
that's
smart.
like you're eating
Yeah,
the
what you
thing, the
killed.
mammoth or whatever, you know?
Yeah. I
So
think
yeah,
that's great.
dude, it's once you delve into the fasting, you know, research or whatever, there's just so many avenues you can go down, stuff I
true.
haven't even done yet.
You know, and then what you just said is so important, though. You have to find what works for you, because for some people, maybe it doesn't work. You know, if you've got blood sugar issues, it's not going to work for you. But,
Exactly.
But talk to your healthcare professional.
Well, there's
actually don't, because they'll tell you to eat 3 fucking meals
Yeah,
a day.
they're probably being paid to tell you that, yeah. No, some people are even taking it to another level of doing like several day fasts, like 96-hour fasts and stuff like that, which sounds insane.
It does.
But hear me out. First of all, people do it and they survive, so it's clearly not like you're not going to die,
Yeah.
depending on who you are, obviously. But if you're in a healthy shape and you're getting the water and you're getting your electrolytes and stuff, you're not going to die. You'll may even find you have a lot of energy. And another thing I've heard that's really good about that long-term fasting is that apparently when you completely shut your sort of insides down like that for 3-4 days, it actually gives your organs a chance to start repairing themselves and doing work that they haven't had time to do on
Because
themselves.
they're processing food all the time.
Or your liver especially is processing toxins constantly. So it's basically like it's trying to swim against the stream all the time. And when you finally don't give it anything for 3-4 days, your whole body is like, oh, self-repair mode. Like, let's regenerate a bit and work on our systems or whatever.
Yeah.
So
oh my gosh, it makes so much sense.
very interesting, yeah.
It is. My favorite talk show host of all time, Wendy Williams, was just talking about this on her show yesterday, and she said that she does 24-hour fast twice a week, so very similar to you, I guess. But then the other 5 days, she kind of eats what she wants.
Just goes to town, yeah.
Yeah, not goes
Yeah.
to town, but you're gonna eat what you want. And
But
she's-
yeah, not feel bad about
Not feel
like
bad,
yeah.
But man, I think that would be hard. I'll do I try not to eat before 1 p.m., which is totally not intermittent fasting, but I feel like if I just don't eat in AM hours, it makes a difference for me. And
Well,
so
and a
far,
lot
so
of people will try and do that so that they'll have a meal, you know, sort of in the late evening,
Yeah.
and then make it so that most of their fasting window is while they're asleep, just to
Yeah, but
cheat
that makes-
kind of. Well, it's not cheating, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's a lot less mentally challenging if you're not conscious.
That's right. There's so much temptation. There's snacks everywhere, especially after the holidays. Jesus.
Oh my God,
Talk
yeah.
about cheese. Hello.
Cheese, chocolate, the whole shebang.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's a good time to try fasting. The new year resolutions, give it a shot. And honestly, yeah, it just might change the way you feel about a lot of
I
things.
think so. You're less puffy in the morning. We could do a whole show about this.
Yeah.
But because I recently have gotten into it. Well, it's been a few months, but I've noticed big changes in my body and my face and everything.
You know, what's a big part of it for me is the just when I accomplish those fasts, it's more the willpower. It really makes me feel just good about like, hey, I can do that. Well, then maybe I can do this too, because it is hard. Sometimes I'm like, well, I did a 36-hour fast once just to see if I
You're
could do
insane.
it.
That's
it was
too much.
fucking hard, man. But
I'm
but
not
at the
doing
end of
that.
it, no. Hey, again, do what's right for you. You know.
I do 16 hours. That's my limit.
Well, doing a 16-hour every day kind of thing is really great for you too, though.
Yeah.
But even if you do that, throw in a random day once in a while where you don't fast, because by keeping your metabolism on its toes, so to speak,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
supposed to help. Your body's going to try to acclimate to whatever you're doing if you do it consistently enough. So say you're doing those 16-hour fasts rather every day, your body's going to your metabolism's going to try to adjust to that new lifestyle that you're living.
That's right.
So if you throw some random shit at it once in a while, it actually helps to keep your metabolism
Okay.
ping-pong and all over the place. So.
Same reason you're supposed to take rest days from the gym, right? To kind of
Exactly,
confuse
yeah.
your body.
Apparently, Rocky Stallone did that while he was doing Rocky, where he would eat really, really healthy during the week, and then on the weekend he'd have like cheesecake and shit. And for those reasons, what is that?
Is it
Oh, that's your
doorbell?
phone.
Oh.
Okay. I was like, am I hearing music? Am I going insane?
Fasting. Yeah, we're losing consciousness.
Shit, yeah. I'm fasting right now, actually. Yeah, that's why I got water going on.
Oh, are you?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
God.
supposed to go into ketosis at like 3 p.m., so I'll probably eat at 4.
Okay.
It's not going to be a long one today.
I won't be here to see that. Uh-oh.
No, I like it, man. It makes me feel sharp for this kind of shit, too.
Yeah.
You know, anytime I eat, same thing, I really don't like eating at work because I just want to fucking take a nap when I have a big meal. Instantly.
True.
I just want to go lie in the sun and just like...
And that's the thing where your body starts focusing on digesting and processing the food.
Because you're not supposed to be running around when you're eating and doing
No.
a million things. You're supposed to let your body, take its time. And that's something I do need to work on, though. I'm horrible at eating my food super fast and not, like, chewing my food like you should. And
Oh, yeah?
yeah, I don't know why. I'm just always so, like...
Maybe because it's been
Yeah,
36 hours since your last food.
Maybe. That would be the logical explanation. But
Yeah.
I think I've done it since I was a kid, honestly. I'm just, I don't know, a fast eater.
All right.
Okay, so moving on because
Yes.
there's so much to talk to you about.
Okay.
You do host a podcast, co-host a podcast, I should say.
That's right. Jesse and Jenna's Messy Podcast, messypodcast.com. Super fun.
That's where people can find it, first
Yeah,
of all.
you can find it everywhere, all the places you are too, I'm sure, but Spotify, Apple.
It's on YouTube also?
Yeah, we put our full episodes on YouTube if you'd rather watch us than listen.
I think I usually end up seeing them on Facebook just in my feed.
Yeah, well,
but
we
it's probably
post
from
little,
YouTube.
That's right. Well, we post little like teasers, like 2-minute clips on Facebook to try to get you to go listen to the podcast. So,
And you guys are hilarious.
well, thank you.
You
The
guys
wine
always,
helps.
you have like that kind of, okay, so first of all, we should say you guys started on radio together, right?
Yeah, so for people
What's
who
the
don't
origin
know,
story here?
the
Yeah.
origin story. So way back in 2015, I won a talent search and I started hosting the morning show on Jump 106.9 here in Ottawa. And there was a few cast changes throughout that, but I stayed on the morning show. But they were just trying to figure out what works. And unfortunately, that company doesn't have a lot of patience. And in radio, especially these days, you have to give people time to get to know the host and get to know the show because it becomes part of your morning routine, right? And we're like your friends. So we felt like that wasn't the best move, that every couple months they would change out the hosts. But I stayed through the whole thing.
So you just had a constantly different co-host?
That's right. Well, there was sometimes 3 of us, sometimes 2. But anyway, eventually they found that Jenna and I worked the best together. So we started hosting the morning show, and we had about 3.5 years together. And it was really great. It was a unique dynamic between us because we would joke that I was the girl and she was the guy. Like, you know how usually morning shows are like, I have the straight guy and the straight girl, and it's great. So she was the sporty one and, more the man, and I was... well, the gay one, and I did the celebrity gossip, and so it worked well.
Nice.
But it came down to a financial thing for the company, sadly. It wasn't our ratings. Our ratings were moving in the right direction, but they decided to syndicate a show out of the States. Who wants that? It's not going well for them.
Because I thought you still worked for the station, though.
No, I don't. No,
Oh,
I don't.
okay,
No,
weird.
I
For some
don't.
reason, I thought you still had some sort of affiliation.
No, I mean, since I got let go in the past year, I've been filling in on some other radio stations like Magic 100, Kiss
nice.
105.3. So it's nice to see that, people know I'm out there, but they've all just been like fill-in sort of gigs. But
Hey, the podcast is going well.
it is. So then to answer, after we got fired, it was a big outrage in the city because, like I was saying, 3.5 years, people got to know us. We were their friends on their drive to work. And so all of a sudden, with no explanation, we're off air. People couldn't understand it. The ratings were great. The feedback was there. So people were pissed. And the fact that Canadians were replaced with Americans, I think, was a big bone of contention. So as much as I'd like to say it was about me and about Jenna, it wasn't. It was really that pissed people off.
I'd say it's both, honestly,
Well,
because
maybe
all
it's
the
both.
points you just made are very valid. Like, one good example is like Hot 89.9. They have a really good morning crew to the point where I really don't enjoy most of the music they play, but I'll listen just because I enjoy their banter.
Oh, it's a great morning show.
Yeah. So I do think, like, for the same reason, if someone shut them down, a lot of people would just be bummed that their little morning friends are gone,
That's exactly it. So then after, people started saying, start a podcast, but neither of us knew how to do that or knew anything about it. And then out of the blue, John Milkey, who runs a website called blasttheradio.com.
I just started talking with this guy the other day.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Talking to him or about him?
Like, I made a comment on something. I think he was posting something about his channel, and he listed you and a bunch of other people.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wrote like, "Hey, I'd love if you check out my podcast. Jesse's going to be on this
fun.
Friday." So yeah, and then we had a bit of a back and forth.
Oh, he'd be a great guest too. Same with Jenna. But he reached out to us and was like, hey, you guys got to keep your brand going. I have a studio very similar to yours. And so we were like, all right, what have we got to lose? And never in a million years did I think we would still be running the podcast a year and a half later. It's kind of a bittersweet because we love doing it. But the whole point was hoping that another radio station would pick us up because we work so well together. We have great chemistry. We have the fan base. But that hasn't happened yet. So we're still
have you
plugging
guys
away.
had like some kind of growth still this year?
On the podcast?
Yeah, picking up more listeners and
For
stuff?
sure,
There
yeah.
you go.
We keep moving in the right direction, particularly on social media. Our engagement's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but it's just radio is moving in the opposite direction. Radio is shrinking, so time is not on our side right now with this industry.
I wonder if you could reach out to like Sirius or one of those satellite radio guys.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, you've got some good credentials and your show's entertaining. So.
Yeah. It's a little inappropriate. I think that might be something that has worked against us. We talk a lot about sex and
I'm pretty
drugs
sure
and rock and roll. No, Sirius would be fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's up your alley.
Maybe, but the Ottawa market's just tough to crack because unlike a lot of markets in radio, Ottawa doesn't change that much for the most part. Like you said, you have the morning hot tub, you have Stuntman Stew, you have the...
Shay just fucking.
Oh my gosh, Doc and Woody. But
What was that?
well, they retired. That was their choice.
Oh, so it was okay.
And that's amazing. Hats off to them, because in radio, you rarely get people that make it as far as being able to actually retire.
Well,
on
I was
air.
just worried because one day I heard these other guys and I thought they just fired them overnight. Kind of thing,
No,
'cause-
they retired, so good for them. But that's to my point. Like, Ottawa radio doesn't change the way some bigger cities like Toronto or New York do. So there's just not a lot of spots. So I just feel like if we keep plugging away, eventually Mahler's got to retire. Eventually Stuntman Stu's got to go.
Well, and your guys' podcast still has like a morning show kind of vibe because you guys
Yeah.
are always doing like little funny news stories and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so-
Weird News Fridays.
Yeah.
So we put out 3 episodes a week. Fridays, we do our Weird News episode where we talk about like the weirdest news we can find, people shoving things in their butts, alien abductions,
I've seen some of these for sure.
good stuff.
The penis things on the beach or whatever, those weird.
Oh, yeah. What were those?
They were like some sort of
Slug thing?
Yeah, some worm thing.
Oh
or
my
whatever.
God.
They really did look like dicks, though.
You'd think I would remember. But then on Mondays, we put out a new segment that we recently started a couple months ago, which is kind of like a Dear Abby. So listeners will write us letters, which is so cool that we actually get real letters from people.
I know. I'm very jealous.
Yeah.
You motherfucker. Someone write to us. Anyway,
Start talking about dicks on the beach.
you're going to send me
then
like
you'll
a
get letters.
pity letter now.
Yeah. And people will like send us their life dilemmas. Like our last one was about a woman caught her boss at work trying to hit on her boyfriend because the boyfriend told her. Like the boss drunk dialed her boyfriend because she was the woman's emergency contact. I'm not explaining this right. The boyfriend was the employee's emergency contact. So this
Okay.
drunk supervisor found his number on the emergency contact
Oh,
list
Jesus.
and drunk dialed him, all flirty.
Knowing
So-
he's like a straight guy in a relationship with this woman.
Yeah, well, the boss is a woman too.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I was thinking, wow, how sexist of me.
Yeah,
I
really, it's
assumed the
2020.
boss
Oliver,
was
get
a
with it.
man.
So
I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm very 2020.
you are actually, and a vegetarian. So the employee didn't know whether or not she should confront her supervisor about it. So that's what the letter was. And I was saying like, it's risky because she used the phone. So there's no track record. There's no proof of what she talked about. She could say,
Yeah.
you know, anything.
It's her word against his.
Right.
Damn.
Risky business.
That's so cool, though, getting letters from viewers. I'm so jealous. It's
Yeah.
got to be fun just to have that ammunition for the podcast. Like, it's just,
Oh, it's great.
you know, good fuel for the fire or whatever.
We are very clear that we are not experts. We just give our opinion, and that's it. I don't think we've ever helped anybody, but it's fun to talk about.
Well, and you guys have a good chemistry together. It's just awesome. Just the whole setup is great.
Yeah, it is great when Jenna lets me get a word in.
A little dig against Jenna there. I was going to say, when I was watching one of your other things you were involved in, Dirty Love,
Ah!
did I see Jenna in there in a little cameo?
Yes, Jenna, little cameo in the
Okay.
dildo store.
Yeah.
Yes. She was looking for one that would help her scream in 5 different languages. So
Let's talk about Dirty Love. Yeah.
Dirty Love was it's a great show. It addresses a lot of important themes that are not on TV right now. So
Very taboo in a lot of ways.
very taboo. So Mesa Houri is the creator and writer and director and star of the show. And it's basically about a Muslim woman who is selling sex toys. And in the Muslim
And her
culture,
dad's not happy about
not
it.
happy about it. So that's sort of where it starts, and it deals with a lot of taboo themes, like you said. You know,
That's about where I got to. I've had a
Yeah.
crazy week, but I was trying to, you know, delve into it a little bit, so I had some knowledge on the subject.
well, yeah, it talks about that, or like my character Marcus is gay, obviously. Well, not obviously, but he is. He's even gayer than I am in real life. And his storyline, well, he gets attacked in a parking garage, so we deal with the,
Oh, shit.
you know, getting assaulted and homophobia and that sort of thing, and a lot of heavy subject matter, but it's also funny.
Oh
So-
yeah, it was. I really did enjoy the writing. That was one of the things I thought really stood out the most.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna keep watching because it sounds like it just gets crazier. Honestly,
It does. It gets it's pretty juicy, and we hope for season 2. But
we should tell people this is on YouTube.
it's
this
on
is
YouTube.
like a web series.
It's a web series for now, yeah. Or dirtyloveseries.com. You can watch it on the website and read all about the characters and synopsis. See if you're interested before watching it. But you know what's funny is, and I know you've done some acting too. When you watch projects that you've been involved with, you remember where you were at in your life while you were filming. And so for me, as much as I love Dirty Love, it started shooting about 3 weeks after we got fired. So I was a mess. My personal life, I was all over the place. You know, I didn't know who I was anymore. Didn't know what I was doing for a career. I was drinking every day, eating McDonald's. So I feel like I didn't look my best in the series. And
Didn't show.
I know, and I shouldn't say that, but I remember, that day I was really hungover, or like that day I, lost another audition, and it's just funny how you.
It is weird,
yeah.
how it puts you back in those shoes for a second,
which isn't great, but anyway.
But it sounds like it was a fun experience on set.
It was a great distraction from what I was going through, and
you're still tight with all of them.
Absolutely, yeah. Blakely, he's the bald guy in the show. He moved to Vancouver to pursue acting, so he's not even here anymore. But if we start shooting again, maybe he'll come back. I don't know.
It's one of the places to be for sure. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. Aren't we screwed here in Ottawa? Canadian showbiz based in Ottawa, Ontario. Whoopee. We're an uphill battle, Oliver George.
Yeah, it's a growing industry in Ottawa, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting there slowly.
And hopefully we get that sound stage that they've been talking about.
Yeah, I've
for
heard
a
about
couple
that as
years.
well. Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome. I was gonna say overall, from what I saw on Dirty Love, it seemed like a really engaging show, and take this as a big compliment, but to me, it had a Degrassi vibe.
Yes,
and I love Degrassi, even in like just the filming and everything.
Totally,
there was just something sort of amateurish about it, but that made it very endearing.
That is what I used to say. I totally forgot. I used to describe it as Degrassi for adults. That's what it is.
Now I feel so good. I was worried that might be like an insult to some people because it's kind of low budget television.
Come on, who doesn't love Degrassi? Give me a break.
Boom.
Yeah, right there. Oh my gosh.
Signed by Pat Mastriani, Joey Jeremiah.
Oh, look at
I
that.
met him at some pop expo thing in Cornwall a couple of years ago.
I love it.
Yeah.
I need wheelchair Jimmy up there.
Jimmy Brooks, yeah. Were you a fan of both series? Or?
No. I watched the original, but I just know because Drake,
Well, yeah, everybody knows it now.
Right.
But I actually guilty. I mean, I dropped off eventually, but I watched some of the Next Generation. It was surprisingly true to the original.
Yeah.
And they had some ties and connections where, like, the main girl, Emma, was Spike's daughter. Spike was the one who got pregnant in the original series.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And just little, Snake becomes the principal, I believe, and just little connections like that, so.
You say Spike, I think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Spike is
another great character.
Oh my gosh, that was my first celebrity crush, and the reason I started bleaching my hair.
James Marston?
Yeah.
Marsters? Oh, James Marston is Cyclops, I think.
Yeah, I don't know him.
You don't know?
But Marsters is for sure Spike. Trust me, I know.
I'm sure you know the guy I'm talking about too if I showed you a picture.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, Spike and Buffy, man. I haven't thought about that in ages. I used to watch Buffy all the time as a kid.
I love
Such a good show.
Yeah.
And apparently they continued it in comic books. They did like season whatever after. They did like 2 or 3 more seasons that were supposed to be direct continuations from the show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's the kind of role you want as an actor, is one of those like iconic. You have people that are like, I don't want to be, who's one that complained about that? Kramer.
Typecast or whatever.
Kramer, what's his real name?
Oh, that's not his problem. Kramer's
Michael.
got bigger problems with his career.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I remember he used to say like he wanted to distance himself from Kramer, and he's an actor and he has so many other roles that he wants highlighted. And I'm like, fuck that. If you're on a show that's successful enough to make you
syndicated
like that famous,
a million times over, like,
sorry, take it. You're Kramer. Same with Buffy, but she's mentioned that in interviews that she appreciates it. She doesn't care that she gets called Buffy on the street.
Fuck no.
No.
I mean, you're like a character that's going to be always associated with you now. Because there
Iconic.
was another Buffy
Take
before.
that, Alicia Silverstone. Was it Alicia Silverstone?
No, it was, the fuck was her name?
She looks like Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah, she does. She was not super famous. Christy Swanson, I think was her name.
Oh,
Does
that
sound
sounds right.
She's an 80s star, I think, but I don't know that she does anything anymore. Have you seen that movie, though, the original?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's got, what's his name? Pee Wee Herman was the bad vampire.
Oh, yeah.
Paul Rubens.
Art
I think I was right
imitating life.
before his little situation there, yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, he was one of the first Me Tooers.
Well, no, he got caught jerking off in a porn theater.
Even worse than Me Too.
Well, in a way, it's kind of weird, right? Because 100% don't think that's right. But I kind of don't think it's right to have porn theaters because it's like it goes against the nature of why most people watch porn is to fucking get off or whatever. So like, it's like you keep it in your pants for 2 hours. It would be a weird experience.
It would be
I'm
a
not
challenge.
condoning what he did, but yeah, well, I guess, yeah. Just seems weird.
Oh,
the Mayfair used to be a porn theater in the 80s.
I didn't know that.
I read about it since it's been around since like the 30s. It's gone through all these different owners, and there was a brief period in the 70s or the 80s where it was.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that there.
They got those carpets cleaned a few times.
I guess so. It's not butter on the floor.
Oh.
Oh.
Audible groan from my dad.
Yeah.
Shit, man. I got a bunch more to talk to you about.
Yeah,
though.
please. Let's go. Yeah. Oh God.
Oh yeah. Well, you had mentioned something to me that I didn't really know much about, which was Queer Sphere.
Oh,
and I was
huge.
gonna let you
Thank
just
you
like
for
fill me
bringing that
in.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Queer Sphere. So actually, this ties in nicely to the story about when we got let go. So one of the things that happened when we lost our radio show was I started getting emails from moms that had gay children. And they said this is a travesty because never before in Ottawa has there been such an openly gay personality that my son or daughter could look to as a role model, which makes me cringe. Like, oh, I'm not a role model. I drink wine at 11 a.m. Like, but I know what they meant was that there's a public figure that you could say, look, like, you're okay. You're normal. There's somebody on the
and
radio.
don't sell yourself short, man. Like, it's easy to beat yourself up. But someone else looking at you is like, look at this guy, everything he's accomplishing. You know, you're healthy, you're busy, you're successful.
That's right. Well,
anyway.
Thank you. But so I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize that there was this whole new generation of like gay families that are where it's like when I grew up, it was not an option to be gay. What are you talking about? God doesn't want that for you, So this whole new world where it's accepted from children to be able to identify that way, and the parents that embrace it, it's like, wow, you can have these family conversations that weren't even on the table when I was growing up. So one of the women that reached out to me with one of these sons runs a wonderful company in Ottawa called Karma Creative Solutions. And Karma is responsible for putting on a bunch of trade shows like the Ottawa Wedding Show, and they're involved with the Tulip Festival, Beaver Tales, a lot of big festivals and organizations. And Joe Riding is the general manager for the Tulip Festival, and she's the one that contacted me and said, hey, what about a gay trade show? There's not one in Ottawa. There's not one in the country. So let's make a gay trade show. Keeps you out in the public eye. That's all I needed to hear. I'm going to be on a bus. Okay, sign me up. And it was a great idea. So I can't even take credit for coming up with the idea for it.
It's very innovative.
And it's basically the reason I think that it had never been done before is because a lot of trade shows are very niche. Like I said, weddings, pets, whatever. This is sort of. It's called Queer Sphere because everybody's welcome in the sphere. If you're a queer-friendly business or a straight-owned and operated business or an ally, it's fine. Come exhibit your business at Queer Sphere. So that's why we call it a sphere. We're all on one planet. Kumbaya, So, but it took a minute for people to get their head around what is this. And I think still people are figuring out what exactly Queer Sphere is. But it's basically a small business trade show that anybody can come and showcase your brand or business at.
Nice.
As long as
you're not a homophobe.
As long as you're not home. And then what kind of business owner would want to say I'm a homophobe?
Well, exactly.
So it makes selling booze easier because it's like, oh, you don't want to come to this? Okay.
I think that's really good, though, because it's very important to make people feel included because it's, you can only say like, oh, we're this marginalized group if you're then willing to accept when those people you're so mad at that were marginalizing you are finally coming around. Well, then don't turn them away when they're finally waking up and, coming to their senses and realizing, hey, like this isn't a big deal. Like everyone should just get along. And
Absolutely.
What the fuck? So that's good because we had a weird experience once. Kelly, my fiance, and I, we went to a gay bar called Tease once because we were at a party next door for a work thing and we ended up leaving going like, oh, let's check out somewhere else. And that was just the next place we went to. Didn't know it was a gay bar. When we found out, we didn't care. Yeah. It was awesome. We had some great conversations, made some great friends. And then another time, I don't know, a couple months later, we're walking downtown looking for a place to drink. We walked by there, and it was a much busier night. I don't know if it was Canada Day or something of that level. Yeah. And there was a bunch of guys outside, and they said something to the effect of like saying like that I should come in and she should keep walking kind of thing. Yeah, right. And we're clearly together. We were holding hands, like strolling together, and they were just like, well, he can come in, but I don't know. No. Sorry. I'm misremembering the story. We went in. It was super packed. So we left. And then when we walked out, that's when they started chirping at us. They're like, yeah, it's not really your place or something like that. And then they said, yeah, you can stay. So
I don't like that. But they were probably just drunk trying to be funny.
Of course. And in no way was I like, oh, wow, gay people are mean now. Like
we are a little bit mean, but it's okay.
But that's just a bunch of assholes. Assholes come in all shapes, colors, sexual orientations. There's just dickheads out there. It doesn't matter.
Well, take it as a compliment. They thought you were cute. They wanted you to stay.
But I was more offended that they wouldn't want like a straight. I kind of get it though. It's a small place, and like if you are in a marginalized group and you want to have your own area where you can go and be like, hey, it's just gay people when I come here. Like I get it in a way, Yeah, so but I try to see both sides,
it's a whole thing, and I try to see both sides too. But I don't understand those people who are marginalized, who are fighting for equality, but then also want to be segregated. And that is one of the big issues of the gay community. Even organizing Queer Sphere, we have had some criticisms where people were like, well, not all the businesses were queer owned and operated. A lot of them were straight businesses, like Beechwood Cemetery. They don't identify one way or another, but they were one of our exhibitors. And but
they're not haters.
Gay people die too,
Yeah, exactly.
So, that was one of the things.
As long as these people don't want them to burn in hell.
That's right. That was our whole mandate. But then I'm like, really? You're going to like, oh, all the businesses should be gay. Well, aren't we trying to fight to be accepted in all one world?
Yeah, melting pot.
Who cares?
Kinda,
yeah, who cares? That's what
weird.
I don't understand.
I know. It's a very weird kind of situation.
And never once in my life have I been hit on by a woman or said I was good looking and it was like, oh, I'm offended, So the people that get offended, you have to wonder why.
Yeah, exactly. You were mentioning just that, families growing up now are a lot more open to people coming out and stuff like that with their children. So that's why I was going to ask you, what was your experience when you were growing up and coming out? It's brutal or?
It was a little brutal. Well, like
your dad was a bit of a man's man.
He was a big man's man. I don't want to say we don't have a.
Relationship only now. Say what you're comfortable saying.
No, I just don't want to disparage anybody when they're not here to defend themselves.
Besmirch,
But my dad, he's come a long way now. We don't have a tight relationship anymore, but my parents broke up when I was 13, and he was a drinker. The whole story, the typical textbook, not great upbringing. My parents fought a lot. So the gay thing wasn't even, I always knew my entire life, I was in the womb like, hey, can we get some curtains in here? I'm more of a winter than a placenta. It didn't match my skin tone. Anyway, but I never would come out growing up. So my coming out story was actually in high school. I was 17, and I don't know if you had this at your high school. There was something called Tequila Sunrise.
Yes,
where
I've
it was
heard
like
of it.
Day before grad, you like go in this car rallies, and you have to like do all these awful scavenger hunts, like steal a mailbox and all these horrible things. Don't do it, kids.
I did not do it, but I remember this now.
Well, I did it. And so I remember, and you drink, of course, not the person driving, but I was one of the drinkers.
No, but hence the tequila, yeah.
That's right, Tequila Sunrise. And so I get a call from my mom, and she's screaming at me over the phone, you're gay, I can't believe you're gay, and God doesn't want this, she's religious.
She found something?
She found something. What she found was an 8x10 picture I had of my boyfriend at the time that said, happy 2 months, baby, because you do that in high school, right? 2 months. So she found this in a frame under my bed that I was going to give to him, and she was so upset. But I am happy to say that a couple days later she came around because I have an older sister who's very progressive. I feel like you'd get along with her very well. She's, vegetarian, hippie.
I guess I give out that vibe with all the weed, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, she smokes weed too. DJ Jazz Nasty's her name. She's a DJ. She
really?
Could be
That's
a good guest.
Sick name.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. You hook us up. That'd be awesome.
She gave my mom like a good talking to. I'm not totally sure what she said, but she said something, and then the next day,
this is your son. You're gonna fucking love him.
Maybe something like that. And like explained, what does it matter? And my mom came around and cut to X amount of years later. We're best friends, and she wouldn't have it any other way. And she'll send me cute guys. She sends me fashion stuff. She brags to everyone she's got a gay son.
That's amazing.
So she just had to make that mental shift. And now she goes on these rants about, why does anybody care who you're sleeping with? You don't go around asking people, who do you want to have sex with? But when it's gay people, it's like public
Everybody's
knowledge.
business, yeah.
Well, and it is a weird thing
It
when
is
you put it that way.
No, that's fantastic. I'm very happy that you guys have been able to find a relationship that works. What I would ask then is, how did that affect her religion? Did she like shift what she believes?
No, because she was always she's Christian, united, so it's always very loosey-goosey anyway.
Okay.
But I just think it came from a place of, you have a roadmap for your kids, and I'm sure you do with your son too. Or you have goals.
I have
and
3
things.
kids. Yeah.
Oh wow, Jesus.
The other 2 are like 11 and 9 too, so they're a lot closer to potentially some of these revelations and stuff.
But whether it's gay or sexuality or just even career or who knows,
anything,
you have an idea of maybe what you hope your child to be, and it's never that way. So
I hope my kids are happy and not wanting, not like unhealthy or super poor where they can't get by. But other than that, I just want them to be happy.
Well, that's good.
Find someone they love.
You're a good dad.
Do something they love.
Yeah. And my mom always wanted grandkids. Her mom is like her job, her career is being a mom. So I think it was always important to her that we have kids, and she's very traditional that way. And so that was sort of.
You can always adopt.
Okay. Yeah, I ain't having kids. Are you kidding me? Ugh.
There you go.
No. Sorry, you just said you have 3.
Yeah, it's all good,
you
man.
Can do
no,
it for us.
Hey, it's not for everybody. It's just like fasting, just like certain religion, like whatever. That's what people need to learn is like, let people do what makes them happy as long as they're not hurting anybody, and I guess with religion, sometimes they are hurting people, but.
Well, I just don't like kids because I get jealous, Why do you still get a special menu at the restaurants? Oh, your mom still wipes your butt so you get 50% off spaghetti? F you.
Yeah, that's.
Give me this discount spaghetti.
There's some perks, I'll admit, to being a kid. How about just not having to like worry about shit? As long as your parents have their shit together, you kind of just get to chill.
That's right. No, I do like kids. I just don't know if I'd want one of my own. We'll see.
It's definitely a huge shift in your life. I mean, things never go back to when you didn't have kids,
That's
really.
right.
Unless you're on vacation or you got a babysitter for a week or something, you don't really ever get that back. That
Well,
freedom.
and I feel like, and maybe you can talk to this, but like, how do you manage your own goals and aspirations? And I've got big hopes and dreams for myself, so I feel like a kid would hinder that, and all of a sudden you have to give up everything you wanted to do because you've got to focus on this wonderful little person.
I don't know. I mean, I may have a unique situation, but maybe I've worked hard to sort of find that situation. But first off, my two oldest kids, I share custody with my ex-wife, and we have a amicable relationship.
That's good.
She listens to my podcast, so that's
Okay.
very shout out to Sylvie. So that, I mean, just for time though, like I only have them every second week, and we do a visit usually when it's her week. I'll take them one of the nights out of the week too.
Okay.
So there's some.
Well, that's a good setup. I have a similar arrangement with my ex, but we share the Chihuahuas.
Is that serious?
I'm dead serious.
Oh,
so we
damn.
do 1 week, 1 week, and on the weeks I don't have them, I'm like, oh, it's so nice. I don't have to get up and go for a walk first thing in the morning. So I do.
We actually, when Kelly and I were first together before we had our youngest son, it was kind of interesting. It was very strange going from being, full-time parent to being like having a week where I'm parenting and then a week where I could like stay up as late as I want, do whatever I want.
It's nice, right?
It was fun, but I mean, she told me when we got together that she wanted to be a mother, and I wasn't opposed to having like one last kid. So
Yeah.
when the time was right, it was still magical, and I love the little guy so much. So, but as far as getting shit done,
I
yeah.
met him. I'm jealous of his hair. Speaking of jealous.
Oh yeah, everyone's telling me to cut it. He's got a mean mullet. Right
I don't know if you should cut it. I pay good money for that color.
Yeah, golden locks.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
But yeah, so having the older two only every second week, that obviously helps as far as like freeing up time. But part of it is my work situation. So I'm not just a stay-at-home dad, but my fiance works as an ICU nurse. So she works full-time, first of all, but her hours are very interesting that she'll do like 2 12-hour days or sometimes 3, and then 1 12-hour night. Essentially 4 12-hour shifts in a row, but then she gets 5 days off. So during those 5 days off, I try to get stuff like this done, but I also pick up shifts at my own hospital job. Where I sterilize surgical stuff at the Civic. So
very important.
Yeah, it's not a bad job either. Yeah, exactly. And a few shifts goes a long way with that job. So yeah, it's just the situation that we've got kind of works because we don't have to pay for daycare. I can do stand-up gigs, generally speaking.
Great.
Yeah, and we've got grandparents to help with babysitting and stuff. So
Way to go, Dad. And can we shout out to Kelly for being an ICU nurse? OMG, nurses don't get enough credit or enough money. I am telling you, nurses do more work than doctors, and they put up with more disgusting shit. Literally. I can't say enough about nurses.
she
honestly.
amazes me like every day. Like obviously there's only so much she can say because her job's somewhat confidential when you're working with patients and stuff. But I can tell when she's had a crazy day and just what you got to do to do that job, especially ICU, is insane. She's around so much death, and yet she's like the most positive person I've ever met in my life. She's like cup half full 95% of the time. So
enough to make you sick.
no, because it's so genuine. Honestly, you spend time with her and you're just like, damn, I wish I could be that happy.
Oh, good for her. I'm so grateful that there's people that are nurses out there and the good ones because I couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's a very not selfless. You're getting paid, but it really is like in a lot of ways because you could pick anything for a job, right? You don't have to pick waiting on people hand and foot while they're potentially dying or going through a really hard time. And then you got to deal with the families who are grieving and in ICU too, right? There's a mixture of people who are old and just sort of dying of natural causes, and then people who are younger who are coming in because of drug overdoses and stuff like that. So
car accidents.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of no, here if there's like any sort of traumatic thing, they'll go to the Civic. That's where the trauma center is.
I didn't know that's how it's split up.
Yeah, I know that because I work at the Civic in sterilization. So like when the bus accident happened, it was like, hey, we need everyone to come in because like there's like multiple amputations. We're having to borrow amputation sets from other hospitals because it was fucked up, man. Like, and if there's like a gunshot or any of that kind of shit, it's like, oh, we're gonna be busy tonight. But you instantly shift. At least I do. I go, okay, well, my life could be a lot worse right now.
Yeah,
No
kidding.
Let's work our ass off and try to be part of the system.
Sidebar: you just mentioned amputations, and on our one of our recent podcasts, we have a story about a guy who was in a car accident and he had to have his arm cut off, but he kept the arm. What? And apparently,
like pickled it or something.
He got it. What's the word?
Taxidermy.
Yes.
Oh my god.
And now it's like on his wall on like a plaque, like how you'd like
with
mount
a thumbs
fish.
up. Tell me it's a thumb.
Yes.
Or a middle finger.
I don't know.
It's gotta be one or the other.
It's holding a bouquet of flowers. Oh. But I know, cheesy.
Yeah, should have been like a rock on or something.
I didn't realize you could request this. Apparently, you just have to fill out a form. Maybe Kelly would know, but you just fill out a form and they'll like package it and you can take it to a taxidermist and have that done. If I ever get anything amputated, I'm doing that.
Really?
Best Halloween decoration of life.
Yeah, in theory, but do you think you could actually stomach like
carrying your arm?
My hand is in this like fucking cooler right now or whatever? Ugh.
Oh yeah, it'd be rough. But talk about making the best out of a shitty situation. Good for him.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, nowadays at least, not that it's, I don't want to say like now's the time to lose a limb, but like compared to, like 50 years ago, at least with the advancements with technology, especially if you have the money, and give it another 25 years, we're going to have straight up like cyborg arms that are, if they don't already.
They have joints. My mom has rheumatoid arthritis, unfortunately. And so she's already had a few joints replaced. Like she's got a fake shoulder, fake knee. So she's like, when I die and get cremated, it's just going to be a pile of like metal.
Just like a Terminator.
Exactly. Yeah. Pretty cool
awesome
stuff. It's neat what we can do.
Oh, man. I just want to keep an eye on the time because I know you're kind of like.
Well, what time? No, I don't.
Oh, no, it's my dad, actually. We switched our time around. Now it's my dad who's got the dentist thing, eh?
Oh, the dentist, Dad.
Yeah.
Hopefully nothing serious.
No. I think it's all good, right? Just some sort of.
Just a cleaning. Oh, I love a dental cleaning.
Yo, I just started going to a new dentist maybe a couple of years ago when I moved out here, and they are thorough. It made me wonder what my old dentist was doing because I went to these guys and it hurt. They were getting every little nook and cranny with the stupid little hook
scratchy thing.
Ugh.
Do you floss, Oliver? You got to floss.
Now I do. Yeah. Honest to God, it was a blessing in disguise because the experience was terrible the first time I went there. But then I was like, I don't want to have to feel that again. So I started flossing at least like every second day now. And it used to be like a once a month or like disgusting.
I'm looking at your dad. We're not impressed. You got to do every day.
I've only had like 2 cavities in my life. I got pretty nice teeth.
All right. Okay.
A little maybe yellow from smoking weed, but that's about it.
Does weed make your teeth yellow? I thought it was just cigarettes.
Well, I smoked cigarettes for 9 years.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
Started when I was 13, went to like 21 or something.
At least you quit.
Yeah, I really wish I had it. There's a lot of things that like I've done, whether it's, weed or alcohol or cigarettes or whatever, that I don't really regret those decisions. I regret when I did them. Like I regret that I did that stuff so early in my life. Because especially now when more studies are coming out, they say that weed shouldn't really, it's not bad for you. And in a lot of cases it's beneficial, but that you should wait till you're like 21 to 25 until your brain's fully done developing.
Yeah, 25. I recently read that your brain's not done till 25.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
I'm sure you could smoke a joint here or there, but they're saying like don't become a pothead where you're like really like every day tweaking your chemistry in your brain. But
we're doing all right. We're still here.
Well, I mean, I have anxiety and OCD and sometimes other things like depression and shit, but I always wonder like would I have been that way anyways?
Yeah.
Was I using weed as a teenager to treat those things? It's kind of like, chicken and the egg sort of thing. I'm not really sure which preceded the other.
And you can't go back now, so.
No. And looking back, I had symptoms of OCD as young as like 10 years old. I think that was, and then it went away for a few years and kind of reasserted itself.
What was it like? You'd like flick the light switch 10 times? Or?
No, and my dad could probably remember this. When I was 10, they found me when I was doing my math homework. I would keep erasing the numbers because they didn't look like the way I wanted them to.
Oh, weird.
Until the paper would like rip and stuff because I was like just neurotic about it. And like when your kid's like 10, like what do you say to that? You're like, I'm sorry. Like,
on one hand, I'd be like, it's a good thing. He cares that he wants to have nice letters.
Yeah, when the paper's ripping though, like
yeah, a little much.
And I like totally forgot about that. And then around 16, 17 is when I had like a really big, I'm sure I had some anxiety intermittently in high school, as we all do. But around 16, 17, after graduating high school, I took a year off. And I think I felt like kind of lost and I had too much time on my hands to just kind of like stew in my brain. And I fucked around with a couple drugs that I hadn't really done before. And I don't know, maybe that all mixed together, but I had a bit of I wouldn't call it a break. Like I didn't have to go to, I did go to therapy. I did talk to a therapist, but I didn't go to like a psych ward or anything. You know what I mean? It was more just like, all right, I need to just figure out what's going on here. And then I learned I had anxiety and OCD and kind of some ways to try to deal with it. And
I think everybody should be in therapy if you could afford it. I went to one after my big breakup because I was in a relationship for 14 years. So it was a big life switch. And we're still friends now, thankfully. But afterwards, I was a bit messed up. And so I went to see a therapist for a few sessions, and it really helped me. So I don't think there's any shame about that.
A lot of people are like just naturally stubborn about going and taking advice from someone else, myself included. Like,
well, for me, it was about having somebody that's unbiased listen and like give like unjudgmental advice.
Yeah, it's like clinical advice. It's like there's no personal attachment to anything that you're saying. They're just like, okay, you've presented me with the data. I'm going to give you a response.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
no,
it's great.
I found that same thing. I mean, I haven't been in years, and obviously they have training too. So if you really do have certain issues, a lot of time they can give you sort of cognitive methods to deal with a lot of the issues. Yeah. But no, you take it one day at a time, right? If you've got mental illness or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before. My main thing is that if you have something like that, as long as you're always trying to get better.
I think so.
That's my main thing. I don't like people who just I mean, I don't.
Yeah, no.
Say I don't like you.
I know what you mean.
When people just totally give up and wallow in it, this could be applied to anything. It can be applied to diet. It can be applied to like so many things where people are just like, well, I'm fucked, so I might as well fuck myself more. And it's like, you could try to take even baby steps to drag yourself back towards whatever you think is the better version of you, you know?
You know, with social media, I find a lot of those people have the outlet now to complain about it, but then they don't actually do anything. And that's what I find.
Well, and find another chorus of people who are like, yeah, I echo that because I'm also lazy and don't want to make a fucking change in my life.
That's right. And that's not the same thing as being depressed. Sometimes you're just lazy and need to make a change in your life.
Well, yeah, because even if you're depressed, you can acknowledge that you're depressed and try to seek some sort of, you know, I mean, easier said than done. I've had depression times where I like literally didn't want to get out of bed and you feel like paralyzed and you feel just like you don't even want to talk to people because you feel like you're parasitic, like you're going to infect them with your sadness or some shit, you know? And
it's
I've had
different
that.
for everyone.
Yeah, that's probably out of everything I've had to deal with, because OCD is fucking daily for me. Same with anxiety, but depression is this thing for me that comes in like every few months. I'll have like a really couple bad days, and it's the one I hate the most. It's just I hate feeling unmotivated and like just low.
Especially as a dad, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, I mean your kids usually help for the most part, but yeah, if you get like less patience for everybody in your life, and I just feel like a fucking grump, and I don't like feeling like I feel like you feel like you want to tell people like, hey, just stay away from me because I'm just going to bring you down. You know, like that kind of a vibe. And it's self-pity. It's whatever. But anxiety and OCD I would take any day over depression, because depression is just so fucking crippling to me personally in what I want to do. So,
well, you talk about mental illness. We're both stand-up comedians, aspiring Canadian stand-up comedians. So there's got to be some mental illness. What's wrong with us?
I'd like
Why
to know
are we doing this?
What percentage of stand-up comedians don't have some kind
That's
of
right.
like, I don't, this would 0.2 or something.
I don't think you'd do it. That's my point. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't get on a stage and say, laugh at me. Laugh at me. I don't care.
Yeah, because even if you're just a narcissist, that's probably a form of mental illness, right? To be a hardcore narcissist. So
yeah.
Why did you get into stand-up though, specifically?
Because I'm a narcissist. No, the reason is like I said, I've always been into acting and I've always wanted to make it as an actor. That's still my first passion, but the roles weren't coming through. And when I left theater school in Toronto, you know what they told me? They said I would never make it as an actor because I was too commercial. I was too Hollywood.
What about a commercial actor?
And I was
That's still making it.
Yeah, but I didn't understand what they meant, and I was devastated. And I was like, fuck them. They don't know. I'm going to show them. But then when I moved back to Ottawa and I started booking gigs, just hosting stuff, and I saw that the snowball effect started to work with me just being myself. Like I was just a personality, and I realized maybe this is what they meant. Like I'm still acting. It's just that my personality and my whole shtick is so strong that it's hard for people to believe me as other characters, which is, you talk about Dirty Love. Marcus is not that far off the actual me.
Yeah, for sure. I hear what you're saying.
And I'm fine with that. I'll be a Julia Roberts. I don't need to be Meryl Streep. Julia Roberts is the same character in every movie, you know?
Yeah.
So
embrace your
right,
you know,
what
niche or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, whatever you excel at.
Yeah. So I was like, oh my God, this is what they meant. So as I started hosting, I was still going on auditions, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa. Nothing was coming through. I'd get the occasional background gig, womp womp. And then I saw in the deep web somewhere an interview with Johnny Carson, old interview, and maybe with Joan Rivers. And he said, anybody that wants to break into showbiz, start doing stand-up. Even if you suck, it'll show you that you have the like chutzpah to get on stage with no costume, music, anything, supporting cast, and just present this show. And if you're good at it, a lot of casting directors and producers respect stand-ups because, like I just said, you can get up there and do it without any support. So I was like, all right, I'm not a writer, but like I'll try it. So I like copied a whole bunch of jokes from Phyllis Diller and, you know, Don Rickles, and I did my 6 minutes at Yucks, and I did well. And since then, it's just been a real snowball effect. That was actually right before I won the talent search on the radio. So end of 2014 is when I first started stand up. And it's been about 5 years now, and it's going great.
Consistently, probably? Or?
It's paying my bills.
But you do it fairly consistently that whole time, or more recently?
Well, no, because when I was on air and getting up at 3 a.m, it was very hard to get out to the club. But since I got let go, Yucks has really, truly saved my life. They've been
Howie's awesome.
Oh, he's Howard Wagman. Yeah, he's been sending me all over the place.
I'd love to get him on here, but I got to go down and talk to him sometime because I haven't seen him in a long time, and I don't really know him that well. I think he knows who I am, but like, you know, I've never really had like too many great conversations or anything. So.
I'll mention you.
Thank you. Yeah, put in a word.
But to answer your question, that's it. So I started doing stand-up because Johnny Carson told me to, as a way to become an actor. And the acting thing hasn't really taken off yet, but stand-up is going great. And I'm booking tons of MC gigs. Like I just did the Ottawa Business Awards, and I have some coming up in the new year, or this year, I guess. So it's great. It's really, his advice was invaluable and it really worked. But I do still miss acting. So I still hope to one day get a real acting job.
Right on.
Yeah.
Speaking of Johnny Carson, there was some quote I heard of him. I'm not even going to try to say that I'm getting it right, but it was something along the lines of that more so than like your material even is just like being likable was what he remembered most about, or what he tried to be, or something like that. I'm butchering this. I'll look it up and say it next episode.
Well, it's true. Just last night, the El Solomons are a lesbian couple, and I
know Jess Solomon. She's been on Fallon and stuff.
Yes, she's on Jimmy Fallon, and her wife, Iman El Hussein. They have this duo act called the El Solomons, and they were at Yuck Yucks last night for about an hour and a half. And I was watching them, and I was thinking, they don't have a lot of set them up, knock them down, punchline-y jokes. They just kind of tell stories about their life, but they're so likable and it's so engaging that it works.
Yeah.
And you realize exactly what you just said. You don't always have to have a...
It doesn't always have to be shticky. Yeah.
So yeah, it helps. Stand-up helps you find whether you're good at that or you're not. The sad thing is if you are not good at it, but you still think you are, and we all know those people out there like that, they just don't stop, and you're like, find something else, because we're not all good at everything.
Yeah. Well, it could be the other end. Like, I find a lot of the time I'm the opposite, where I don't give myself any credit, where I'm always like, I don't ever want to seem like a cocky asshole, so I'm always just like, yeah, that was okay, but I got to keep like...
Well,
there's
always room for improvement. And you know where you tripped over a word that the audience didn't even notice, but you are like, I stuttered.
Yeah. That's one thing, like New Year's resolution. I want to work more on just being myself, like you were talking about, and not overthinking everything. But it's hard because you don't want to forget your shit either, and you want to have some sort of structure. Not everyone can just go up and like randomly improv absolutely everything. Some people can do that, but you know
I'm
what I mean?
jealous of those guys. Yeah, because like the acting thing, I'm really presenting a monologue when I get up to do my set.
Yeah, that's sort of how I think of it. Yeah. But I'd like to mix. I'm actually really good at improv. I used to do it all the time when I was in high school, but I only get good at it when I'm comfortable, and when I'm doing stand-up, I don't feel that comfortable yet. Which is why I really want to try and do more hosting gigs, because I feel like that's where you get more time to kind of play with the audience and like. But that kind of intimidates me, because I'm like, you're also going with like less material, and you do have to make up a lot of shit.
But the only way to get good at it is to do it.
I know. Exposure therapy.
It is. And that's what I realized too, is I was like, I'm not good at crowd work. I don't like talking to the audience. And then you start and you figure out what works. And oftentimes actually for me, it's just if I have nothing to say because my mind's blank, I'll just make a face in response to something an audience member said, and they die laughing.
Yeah, just be very expressive.
Yeah, I guess. And people have told me sometimes it's the moments between my jokes or when I'm not speaking that they like the best, when I'm rolling my eyes or making a face or doing something with my body. And you're like, wow. So sometimes we overthink it.
Yeah.
And the best things.
I overthink everything. So yeah. Well, yeah, the Ed the Sock show was the only time I hosted anything, and that was not like a lot of crowd work, because it was they did it at Mavericks, so it's normally where they do like concerts and stuff.
Yeah.
So the stage just felt a little high to be like, hey,
yeah,
where are you from? Like looking down at people. So it was more, but I did really enjoy that it was just kind of smaller bursts. Like I'd get to go up, do like 2-3 minutes of jokes, introduce the next person, then go off. I could look at my notes.
Yes, look at the notes.
Dude,
yes.
But that's like, I don't know, it makes me feel like I got to push myself past that, you know?
You got to do it. That's why I love hosting is my favorite thing for those reasons. Exactly.
I'll do it for you.
Ed
if I can get a gig.
Do it for me and Ed.
Yeah.
Ed the Sock just started following me on Twitter, and he's very grumpy these days.
He's gotten very political.
I don't like that, Ed. I want him to go back to like making fun of celebrities.
I kind of liked that he used to be able to shit on everyone equally, and now he seems like he's very into just shitting on conservatives, which don't get me wrong, they deserve. Yeah, they deserve it most of the time with the stupid shit they're preaching. But yeah, I liked more when he was making fun of like pop culture and stuff like that, as opposed to. But hey, maybe he's trying to reinvent himself. He was pretty much like out of the picture for 10 years, and this tour he did last year was sort of like a revival with his wife, who I didn't even know they were married.
Oh, is she also a sock?
No. Did you a
slipper?
No, she's a nylon. Did you see his show he used to have on City TV? It was called like Ed's Night Party.
Of course,
so
yeah.
Ed and Red, the redhead is his wife.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Liana Kay, that's her name.
Oh, okay.
She was so nice. So she was talking about like video games and stuff. She's really into gaming.
Cool.
Yeah, man. So I don't know, unless you got anything else you want to bring up here. I have one question I ask all the guests, but if you want to plug anything, I don't know if you got anything.
I'm trying to think. I think you did your research well, Oliver.
Hey,
we got
man.
Queer Sphere. We got Jesse and Jenna's Messy Podcast. We got Dirty Love, Stand Up.
I try to cover it all.
We got it all.
Oh, wait. Okay. Before we go on then, I did watch one of your videos that I thought was hilarious. Where you were, you had a guy in like a shock collar.
Oh,
and you
Zero
were
to Jesse.
Yeah. So how did this come to be?
Oh my gosh. So that's an old thing. That's like, was in 2013. It was a pilot talk show. This company called Sexy Pucker Teeth Whitening approached me. They wanted to attach a web series to their product, hoping it would sell. Didn't work. It was a 10-episode deal, but it was so much fun. So we would have different guests on. It was also like LGBTQ LMNOP.
It was good quality too.
Themed. It was in a real studio and everything. And one of our segments was called the Gay Electric Chair. So basically, my guests would put on, and you could totally steal this if you want, put on a dog shock collar, and I would ask them trivia questions. And if they would get it wrong, they would get zapped. Isn't it funny? Dad's laughing. You got to watch it, Dad. And then as they get the questions wrong, it gets more intense, more intense.
How bad is it? Did you try it?
Oh my gosh, there's one where I'm in the chair. They made me do it first.
I'm watching that one today.
It was really painful. And then once that started taking off, it was a big hit on YouTube, but it just wasn't making the teeth whitening company money, so they canceled it after 10 episodes. But anyway, we had another segment called Drag Queen Showdown. Now we have 2 drag queens, each with a shock collar on, and they're competing with the questions. So they had a buzzer, and if they got it wrong, they'd get shocked. Drag Queen Showdown.
Dude,
YouTube
I'm going to show that to Kelly because she's been obsessed with RuPaul's show.
Oh, she'll love it.
Which is fucking hilarious. We've talked about that on here before. It's
There's
so good.
2 episodes of that Drag Queen Showdown. So I loved that little show. It's so fun, and I love when people bring it up and find it. But yeah, it was a great time.
Which for some reason made me think of one other thing I wanted to mention about Dirty Love, which was how hard I laughed when the intro came on and you got spanked. It was just like, because it's all like artsy and like and super like HD, and then you're just like, woo.
There's a way to sell it. I get spanked in the intro of Dirty Love.
That was actually one of my only critiques, I would say, was that the intro was long. Great for the first episode, but you guys should have done like a shortened version for the following.
Well,
one.
I guess their thinking was if it got picked up on something like Netflix, which is the goal, you could skip intro. Right?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
On YouTube, you'd
not only that, but you guys clearly put a lot of money into that intro, I want to say, because it looked really nice.
Well, Mesa, who is a showrunner for the whole thing, she has friends in the filmmaking business. One of them's named Brian Biggs. The other one's Rami Raphael, and they have great equipment and great experience. So Rami's the one that's responsible for that intro, and I don't know that they spent much on it at all.
So someone who just really knew what they were doing.
Really talented, yeah.
Yeah, Mesa seems really interesting too, man. I really like the writing. I'm gonna have to try and get her on here too. Gonna have to get you to like
good person.
Hook me up with
whatever
a couple of
want.
people. Yeah,
I
man.
will totally.
That's what I love. Every guest that comes on, I meet new people through them and learn new things. It's just, this has been the best experience of my life. Like, more than stand-up's great, but still comes with some anxiety, and there's some sour individuals you meet along the way.
Oh,
and
some? Are you kidding?
I'm trying to be nice, but
for a group of people that want to make others laugh, we're awfully miserable.
But it's balanced out by the few that are great that you really get along with. I've had some amazing friendships that I've made
Me too.
So, but yeah, I don't know. The podcasting's just been amazing. I feel like I'm in my own place, so it's just like no stress, and then people come and enter my zone.
You've got to come get yourself booked on this podcast, people, because it's worth it just to see this
please
studio.
Subscribe.
Yeah,
have you subscribed? Probably not.
I don't know. Yeah. I will right now. Where's my phone?
Oh, no, you can do it after, man. I want to ask you the one question we ask all our guests, which is, you can look at the wall for inspiration if you want, but if you were to magically gain one superpower, and this is not picking a character, this is just a power, and it cannot be flying or anything that would make you fly, because we ruled that out.
Because everybody says that?
So boring, yeah. And as you might have a repeat answer, but that's fine. Still explain why, you know.
Oh, and my problem is narrowing it down to just one.
Yeah, it's hard.
Ooh.
And no matter what you say, you're going to be in your car later and be like, oh.
I should have said that. Well, I can make arguments for so many things. Mind reading. Well, now you can like get what you want because you can read people's minds. That one, but that's boring.
Only if you can shut it off, though. Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. If it was all the time.
What Women Want.
I've seen that done in several movies and TV shows where someone has that ability and they can't turn it off. Like a lot of X-Men and shit like that.
I would say I used to say being invisible because like I'm a big perv and I think that'd be fun.
That's the 4th time that's come up.
But I go one further because you can't walk through walls and stuff if you're invisible.
Phasing.
What's that?
That's when you can walk through walls. Phasing.
Oh. No, I think I would become... Remember the show Secret World of Alex Mack?
Yeah.
And she could turn into a puddle?
She could go ooze mode?
Yeah, go ooze mode. Then you can go under doors. You can do whatever you want. You can hide.
You could kind of like mix into other liquids, so go in the ocean and just... I don't know if that'd be bad.
Well, I don't know. I just think of like, how could I rob a bank? Turn into...
Yeah, invisible, obviously. Well, phasing would work too. Phasing is just the ability to walk through a solid object, but then you don't have to turn into goopy...
And you can't hide then. Like if you wanted to quickly turn into a puddle, you know.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Go
as if you just brought up Alex Mack. That's like such an old school show. No, I watched it too. I haven't thought about that in a gajillion friggin' years.
Oh, it's the coolest show.
It's super Canadian too, right?
Yes, totally. Do you remember those books, Animorphs?
Yes.
You could turn into animals.
Dude, I read like all of them.
That would be fun too. See, I can't choose. I'm sticking with Alex Mack.
Ooze. Well, you can't be a character, but yeah, the ooze. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Dude,
turn into ooze.
That's an original answer. Turn into ooze. I don't think anyone's ever going to say that one again. You said, I can't believe that's a fourth time invisibility came up, though.
Well, it's just the easy go-to. You're so right. I wish you prepped me on this question. I would have come up with a doozy.
No. Well, I guess maybe I could prep people on it. I don't know. It's kind of nice to get the de facto answer that you can come up with on the spot, you know?
It's like you want to get one that encompasses as many, like, things as you can. Like, what's the most beneficial? Like, you could say, like, oh, I wish I could print money out of thin air. Well, that's boring.
It's a weird power, too. Yeah, it's not one of the classic ones.
No.
No one's ever said, like, super speed.
What the hell are you going to use that for? Womp womp.
You know, you get a lot of shit done.
Is that your choice? What's
No.
What's yours?
I've said it before, but I think being able to shapeshift. Just being able to fucking do perfect impersonations of people.
Oh,
and
like
shit.
of anything.
Yeah, like turn into like I'm Bill Clinton now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I actually think that's better than
Glad
ooze.
you cut me off before I had to do a shitty Bill
Please
Clinton
do it.
impersonation. No,
Uh,
I did not have sex. I just sound like an old farmer.
I can't do impressions. Have you had Steve Love on the show?
No, oh my god,
my
I'm
God.
gonna reach out to him. I think when he was doing one of his karaoke things, I was like, hey, come on my podcast, but he couldn't hear me. His
Oh,
music
you
was
got
loud.
it. His impressions are off the hook.
Oh, dude.
The only thing, he does impressions of other local comedians.
Really?
But he can't do me.
Who does
And
he
I'm
do?
like,
Who does he
oh
do?
my gosh, I can't think of examples. But like he'll just go into it at Yuck Kick sometimes and
That I have to
imitate
see.
somebody. Yeah. But I'm like, do me, Steve, and I'm the one he can't master. Like he'll just do a stereotypical gay voice. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of that. I'm the one impression he can't nail down, but he is off the hook with his celebrity impressions.
Oh, dude, yeah, and he's had a pretty interesting story.
Oh
I
my
won't
God, Game
I
of
won't
Thrones?
spoil it in case he comes on. Well, no.
He's been on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he's been actually. Who cares?
He got
Steve-
finger blasted up the butt on Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's true, right? Right before he gets his head chopped off or
Yeah.
something. Oh man.
Saturday night.
Yeah, I feel like people are going to be interested now. Look Steve Love up. He's a cool dude. But yeah, basically he's a great impressionist, and he did a bunch of Game of Thrones guys specifically.
Yeah.
That got him on Jimmy Kimmel via
Yes,
satellite.
that's
And
right.
then the people who made Game of Thrones saw that, and then they asked if he wanted to do a cameo, and
Yeah.
that led to the butt fingering and the head chopped
cool.
off.
So
So
cool.
here you go, Steve.
Steve Love, there's your little plug, but fuck him. Look me up first.
Yeah.
Jesse Reynolds, hi.
Definitely. Hey, look up the man of the hour here. I guess that's about it, man. I got to take a leak anyway.
Oh,
so
yeah, me too. That
high
was
five at
fun.
the end.
High five.
Boom. Come back
Thanks,
anytime.
Oliver.
Yeah,
I
man.
will.
Bring something for the wall. After this, you got to play me on the arcade.